Hello, and welcome to Eagle News International Australia Oceania. I'm Patricia Madronio from Gold Coast, bringing you stories from Australia, New Zealand, and Papua New Guinea. For the headlines, Greater Brisbane implements 3-day lockdown as COVID-19 transmission rate spikes. New South Wales eased COVID-19 restrictions in time for long weekend. Prime Minister James Marape receives first coronavirus vaccination in Papua New Guinea. Businesses in South Australia proceed with government's ban of single-use plastics. Townsville's coastal boardwalk features Aboriginal heritage. And Gold Coast art scene thrives around the city. We kick off with the coronavirus updates in Australia. A snap lockdown was implemented in Greater Brisbane on March 29 after 4 COVID-19 cases came from community transmission. Eagle News correspondent Mia Macapagal from Brisbane has more on this story. Mia?
On Monday, the 29th of March 2021, a spike in the COVID-19 case count in Greater Brisbane led to the implementation of a 3-day lockdown. On the morning of the 29th of March, 4 cases were detected to have locally acquired overnight. This local transmission sought the Queensland Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk, to announce a lockdown to be effective at 5 p.m. on the same day. In hopes of mitigating local transmission, the local areas of Brisbane, Moreton Bay, Logan, Redlands, and Ipswich were placed in lockdown. Residents were only granted permission to leave their homes under 4 essential circumstances: for the purchase of groceries, for healthcare purposes, to exercise, and to work or study if unable to do from home. Consequently, additional safety measures and restrictions were effective upon lockdown. Masks were to be worn when leaving the house, and limitations in gatherings saw a significant decrease in participants. Funerals were limited to 20 mourners. Weddings were limited to 10 people. Non-essential businesses were required to once again shut their doors, where restaurants and cafes were restricted to takeaway service. Initially, lockdown was anticipated to end on Thursday, the 1st of April at 5 p.m. However, on the morning of, Anastasia Palaszczuk announced lockdown to end at midday, to ease the stress of residents who had travel plans for the long weekend. It can be seen that the implementation of this lockdown led to the mitigation of local transmission. Reporting from Brisbane, Australia, this is Mia Macapagal, Eagle News, and we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Mia. Great to see the lockdown finished in time for the April long weekend. Meanwhile, the state of New South Wales has also welcomed the long weekend with easing of COVID-19 restrictions, including voluntary masks wearing on public transport and no guest limits at homes, weddings, and funerals. Justine Vicente, our Sydney correspondent, will share more details. Justine?
As of Monday last week, restrictions for New South Wales residents were seen to ease just in time for the long weekend. This timely ease has brought about great excitement, allowing residents to have an enjoyable time with their family and friends without having to worry about a cap on numbers or be restricted in certain places.
Though there was a small spike in cases in Greater Brisbane due to a recent cluster, a snap 3-day lockdown was immediately enforced, assisting the city to prevent any further outbreak. Following this, New South Wales borders are still open as New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian states she is not overly concerned about potential new cases due to the state's swift contact tracing system, allowing for Aussies nationwide to reunite for the long weekend. As New South Wales moves forward with the ease of restrictions, individuals were able to celebrate the long weekend with their family and friends, enjoying the sunny and warm weather these days offered through outdoor activities such as immersing themselves under the sun at the beach, park or getting fit on a hike, or perhaps escaping from Sydney's busy city and going on a long drive to a more secluded location with their family and friends.
New South Wales residents are one of the first to finally experience a taste of what pre-lockdown was once like. And as long as the community continues to be aware of current restrictions and abide by them, we are closer to being able to live like how it once was like before the pandemic. Reporting from Sydney, Australia, this is Justine Vicente, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Justine. Remember to keep checking in at the venue's Sydney Siders. Moving on to Papua New Guinea. Prime Minister James Marape got his first jab of the coronavirus vaccine and was the first to be vaccinated in the country, a move to encourage his constituents to do the same. Let's hear more from our correspondent in Port Moresby, Echo Hortaleza Quinola. Echo?
The Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, James Marape, proved to his constituents that the most effective protection against COVID-19 is having the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine, which was donated by the Australian government recently. The vaccine rollout has now started in the National Capital District, Port Moresby. Led by Prime Minister James Marape, he courageously volunteered to be the first one injected with the COVID-19 vaccine. The senior ministers and hundreds of staff and workers in Port Moresby General Hospital followed and were also vaccinated. Prime Minister Marape is now urging the public to observe health protocols and be vaccinated too. The country is currently on the verge of surging COVID-19 outbreaks. Rampant community transmissions have put Papua New Guinea under pressure as hospitals and morgues reached its capacity. The government said that there are only more than 500 doctors for an estimated population of more than 9 million citizens plus thousands of other nationalities. On the other hand, government and health officials encourage and are urging local residents who are still uncertain about the coronavirus vaccine. The government reassures the people that by receiving the COVID-19 vaccine, this will help strengthening the defense against the ongoing virus. Though uncertainties, fears, and stress surround Papua New Guinea because of the pandemic, government officials strongly request the citizens to heed the advice and support the vaccine rollout in the country. Reporting from Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, this is Echo Hortaleza Quinola, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Echo. We hope the vaccine rollout in Papua New Guinea will progress in the right direction. After the break, we will hear more on how South Australia's businesses carry on in support of the government's ban of single-use plastics. Plus, let's explore Townsville's coastal broadwalk featuring the Aboriginal heritage. And Gold Coast continues its art appreciation endeavors around the city. All these stories when Eagle News International Australia Oceania returns. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Eagle News International Australia Oceania. Now back in Australia. Earlier in March, South Australia banned the use of single-use plastics, with businesses restricted from selling plastic straws, stirrers, and cutlery. This historical ban is the first of its kind in the country. Let's hear how Adelaide businesses are implementing the new scheme from Eagle News correspondent Rejoice Dilau. Go ahead, Rejoice.
Following the footsteps of other countries in regards to the ban of single-use plastics, South Australia leads the country by prohibiting its usage and distribution around the state. Businesses who were affected by the change were informed ahead of time in order to prepare for the legislation approved by the Parliament.
On September 2020, the legislation which aims to remove the usage of single-use plastic was passed and approved by the South Australian Parliament. The bill, formerly known as the Single-Use and Other Plastics Products Waste Avoidance Act 2020, is to help maintain and decrease the damage plastic produces towards the environment. Plastic contains toxic pollutants, thus takes years to fully break down, which then affects the land, water, and even the air. It was announced that the ban of straws, cutlery, and stirrers to all business, especially in the food industry, would begin on the 1st of March 2021. As the first in the country to proceed with this legislation, State Premier Stephen Marshall expressed his desire, along with his party, in making sure that in a year's time, other items such as polystyrene cups, bowls, plates, containers, and oxo-degradable products will follow suit with the first batch of the legislation ban. With the legislation in place, there were mixed responses amongst businesses, especially restaurants who have solely relied on plastics throughout their business. Fast food and takeaway restaurants were some of those who needed to make vast alterations on their food preparation, with some increasing the prices of their menu in order to continue profiting and at the same time adhere to using sustainable packaging.
A month has passed since the ban of single-use plastics within the state, and majority of the residents have found themselves starting to get used to the implementation of changes. This was a crucial beginning of how we can help the environment to heal the effects of plastic pollution. Reporting from Adelaide, Australia, this is Rejoice Delau, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Rejoice. Maybe an initiative the rest of the country should consider. In Queensland's city of Townsville, there is a remarkable site for both the Australian military and local Aboriginal people, known as the Jazeen Barracks. It's now open to the public to explore. Here to guide us is Eagle News correspondent Laurie Kate Salomon. Take us there, Laurie.
On the outskirts of Townsville City highlights a significant site both for the Australian military history and Aboriginal people heritage found at the Jazeen Barracks. The Jazeen Barracks is a 15-acre precinct showcasing the Army Museum of North Queensland, the Kissing Point, and Aboriginal culture displayed throughout the site. Located about 2.5 kilometers north of Townsville CBD, the site features Indigenous history, public artworks, paintings, military parklands, and extensive coastal boardwalks. This open space area is interspersed with 32 commissioned artworks with extensive interpretive signage, whereas the significant elements of the Kissing Point Fourth Complex have been restored. Continuing the coastal boardwalk, you are faced with a beautiful landscape view of Rowes Bay and the Strand. Following through the trail features native gardens, traditional paintings along the Ethno-Botanical Walk, the Crossed Boomerang Amphitheatre, and the Kennedy Regiment Plaza. The magnificent view of Magnetic Island is visible in the distance across the ocean. Along the walking trail, 51 brass plaques decorate Jazeen, displaying the significant events in Townsville history and Jazeen Barracks. Among the 32 artworks, each are displayed with an informative description on Aboriginal heritage and its cultural significance. The traditional owners of Garabara are the Bindal people who continue to retain the connection to country for local Aboriginal people, an area with immeasurable cultural values. As Jazeen Barracks remains open all year round with restorations and constant developments attracting more tourism, it is an ever-growing interest in Townsville. Reporting from Townsville, Australia, this is Laurie Kate Salomon. Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Laurie. Such a magnificent sight to behold. Still in Queensland, the Gold Coast art scene has recently exploded with various events and exhibitions slowly becoming as famous as its beaches. Eagle News correspondent Diego Madronio is here with the details. Diego?
The Gold Coast is known for its exciting nightlife, pristine beaches, and party scene. Despite the ongoing global pandemic, the community is able to conduct these enthralling events around the city. As we approach the colder seasons, various events are popping up in several areas of the city focusing on the arts. Whether it be towering, glowing models, or community-driven art projects, the city has much to offer for art lovers and casuals alike. The first event caters to the nuanced fans of art. The Color Pop at Art Lovers exhibition takes place on Warehouse Road in Southport on the 27th of March. It exhibits Australian artists, including Kate Owen, Lix North, and Ian Tremowin, to name a few. They offer a refreshing, enlightening array of artworks, ranging from spontaneous individualistic abstracts to unequivocal, photorealistic surrealist art, as well as live entertainment from the talented Anthony Peters. Though small, it's a significant and a must-go for the devoted fans of painted art. The next event takes place in Burleigh Heads in Coolangatta. The arts and craft markets, which happen every Sunday, are an ongoing event where budding, hopeful artists can set up shop and advertise their works to visitors. Similar to the weekly night markets in Surfers Paradise, this activity provides the Gold Coast community an opportunity to expose themselves to the arts culture. For the last events, they focus on the art disciplines of acting and music. From April 8 to April 9, this highly exclusive invitational event offers beautiful candlelit experiences for artisans of classical music. As you walk into the undisclosed buildings, the walls are lined with lit candles and the soothing tones of Beethoven and Mozart echo throughout the building. For fans of filmmaking and movie, the Drag Deluxe live show and Gold Coast Film Festival take place in the following days at various places around the city, free to the public. With all these art installations around the city, people have much more to be excited about, and with more exhilarating activities taking place in the future, the Gold Coast is the place to be for entertainment. Reporting from Gold Coast, Australia, this is Diego Madronio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Diego. Indeed, a lot of amazing art being showcased. And that ends today's program. Thank you for watching Eagle News International Australia Oceania. Join us again next time as we share more stories from our bureaus across Australia, New Zealand, and Papua New Guinea. Visit our websites on eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on twitter.com/eaglenews and on facebook.com/eaglenews. Stay safe, stay strong, and take care, everyone. From Gold Coast, Australia, I am Patricia Madronio, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.